Imagine the sheer terror of realizing a predator has invaded your home and targeted your child right under your nose. That is what happened to Aaron Spencer. A 67-year-old man named Michael Fossler was accused of abusing Spencer's 14-year-old daughter. Fossler was a former police officer. Authorities investigated the claims and eventually arrested Fossler. For a brief window, the Spencer family could take a breath. The man who hurt their daughter was in handcuffs. But an arrest is merely a procedural step. The system had stepped in, but it had not actually secured the family's safety. Shortly after the arrest, a judge reviewed the case and granted the 67-year-old bail. Fossler walked out of custody and back out onto the street. In place of jail time, the court issued a civil restraining order. This is a legal document instructing a person to maintain a specific physical distance from a protected individual. The Spencer family went to sleep every night knowing the man accused of abusing their teenager was free to move around their town. Every sound outside their house carried the weight of a potential threat. When the state releases a known predator on bond, they create a massive blind spot. A piece of paper cannot physically intercept a person determined to cause harm. Fossler ignored the court order entirely. He drove into the Spencer's neighborhood in the middle of the night and took the 14-year-old girl again. Aaron Spencer woke up in the dark. The house was quiet, and his daughter's room was empty. He quickly realized exactly what had happened, found Fossler's vehicle, and got into his own car. Spencer slams his foot on the gas and hunts them down on the pitch-black rural roads. He forces the vehicle to a stop. Desperate to retrieve his child, Spencer confronts the 67-year-old, draws a weapon, and fires 15 rounds into Fossler, killing him. The flashing lights of law enforcement finally show up to the scene. They arrive in time to process the aftermath, not to stop the kidnapping. The state let an accused abuser out on bail, leaving a father isolated on a dark road to handle the consequences. Spencer used lethal force when the system refused to intervene. The focus immediately shifts from the chaotic highway to the sterile environment of the local prosecutor's office. The state makes a shocking legal decision. They officially charge Aaron Spencer with murder for shooting the man who took his daughter. Prosecutors argue Spencer's actions were premeditated. Premeditation is a legal standard requiring the state to prove the defendant engaged in conscious calculation and planning before committing the act. The legal hurdle here is reasonable doubt. To secure a conviction, the state must convince a jury that a father, waking up to find his child stolen in the night, was executing a calculated assassination plan rather than reacting in pure desperation to save her life. The courts failed to keep a predator behind bars, but they immediately deployed their full resources to lock up the parent who stopped him. People in the county watched the state protect the memory of an abusive former cop while aggressively prosecuting a protective father. The public backlash is immediate and fierce. While fighting active murder charges, Aaron Spencer makes a highly unusual move. He files the paperwork to run for county sheriff. The community treats the election as a referendum on the entire justice system. They use the ballot box to voice exactly who they trust to protect their families. The results are tallied, and Aaron Spencer wins the race. The man the state wants to put in prison for murder is sworn in as the top law enforcement officer in the county. The voters looked at a legal establishment that shielded a predator and punished a parent, and they completely stripped away its authority. Spencer now commands the very agency that failed his family. He oversees the exact institution that let Michael Fossler walk free in the first place. Winning an election does not erase a kidnapping. The sheer terror of finding an empty bedroom and chasing a predator down a pitch-black highway leaves permanent scars. The damage occurred the second a judge signed that bond release. The family's sense of safety was shattered and cannot be legislated back into existence. What happened on that dark road was a desperate act of survival by a father who was left with no other choice.